Men, suspicion can eat you alive, but psychology shows that cheaters always slip. They leave behind subtle patterns and behaviors that can be tested. Today, I'll share 6 tricks to prove if she's cheating, so you're no longer left guessing. Before we begin, hit subscribe and comment if you've ever caught someone cheating. Your story might save another man from being played. Trick 1. The phone test. The most revealing test involves observing her reaction when you casually reach for her phone or suggest using it for routine activities that were once normal and unproblematic. Her immediate response reveals whether the device contains information she needs to protect from your awareness. Watching her reaction provides immediate psychological insight because authentic responses differ dramatically from defensive ones. Female psychology shows that panic or defensive behavior around phone access indicates content management rather than general privacy preferences, especially when sharing was once routine and comfortable. Panic responses reveal acute awareness that device examination could expose compromising content, creating immediate stress that overrides normal social responses. If casual phone interaction triggers anxiety, protective behavior, or elaborate explanations about why access isn't appropriate, strategic content management is likely occurring. Defensiveness often exposes hidden secrets because innocent people typically respond to phone requests with casual compliance or reasonable explanations about privacy preferences. When defensiveness seems disproportionate to the request, when explanations become elaborate, or when phone protection seems strategic rather than casual, hidden content is likely driving protective behavior. The contrast with historical phone sharing patterns provides crucial context. If device sharing was once routine but has become restricted, if phone access creates new anxiety that didn't exist previously, or if protective behavior represents changed dynamics rather than consistent boundaries, content changes are likely. Driving behavioral changes. Watch for immediate physical responses like grabbing the phone quickly, positioning it away from you, or creating distance between you and the device. These automatic reactions happen faster than conscious thought and reveal subconscious anxiety about potential discovery of compromising content. Pay attention to her explanations for phone protection. If reasons seem rehearsed, if explanations change between occasions, or if justifications for privacy seem disproportionate to the request, strategic protection is likely occurring rather than natural boundary setting around personal device usage. The timing of phone protection often correlates with other suspicious behaviors. If device guarding increases during periods of emotional distance, if protection coincides with schedule changes, or if phone anxiety appears alongside other behavioral modifications, comprehensive deception management is likely occurring. Trick 2. Change of routine. Check systematic comparison between her current schedule and historical patterns reveals whether routine modifications serve legitimate purposes or facilitate activities that require new time allocation and privacy, opportunities that didn't exist in previous relationship phases. Comparing new schedules to old ones provides objective evidence of behavioral changes that might indicate shifted priorities or new commitments that aren't being acknowledged openly. Female psychology shows that affairs require time investment that must be carved out of existing schedules through routine modification. Sudden, unexplained work obligations that don't align with her job responsibilities, career level, or company culture create regular opportunities for extended absences. If work-late claims increase dramatically without corresponding career advancement or professional recognition, professional excuses might be covering personal activities. Errands that become more frequent, time-consuming, or elaborate than routine maintenance should require, often provide cover for activities that serve purposes beyond household management or personal care. When routine activities suddenly require extensive time investment, additional purposes might be driving the schedule changes. The red flag indicators include schedule modifications that consistently conflict with shared relationship time, new obligations that prevent verification or participation, or routine changes that seem designed to create privacy rather than accomplish stated purposes. Watch for schedule changes that lack proportional benefits or results. If increased work hours don't generate corresponding career progress, if errands don't produce visible household improvements, or if new activities don't create expected outcomes, alternative purposes might be driving time allocation. Pay attention to her emotional responses to scheduled discussions. If routine changes create defensive reactions, if schedule questions generate anxiety, or if time management seems more important than relationship coordination, strategic scheduling might be serving deception rather than legitimate life management. The flexibility patterns around schedule changes reveal their authenticity. If new obligations are rigid when they should be flexible, if routine modifications can't accommodate relationship priorities, or if schedule adherence seems more important than content, strategic coordination might be occurring rather than natural. Life organization. Trick 3. The over-explaining trap. Strategic questioning reveals the difference between authentic responses and deceptive ones by observing whether simple questions generate proportional answers or elaborate explanations that include unnecessary detail designed to convince rather than inform about routine activities and whereabouts. Asking simple questions about routine activities should generate straightforward responses that address the inquiry directly without excessive elaboration. Female psychology shows that honest communication remains concise and focused, while deceptive communication often includes justification and detail that genuine experiences don't require. Loyal partners typically answer directly because authentic experiences don't need elaborate explanation or justification to seem believable. When routine questions generate simple, consistent responses without defensive elaboration, honest communication is likely occurring without strategic narrative construction. Cheaters often add too many details because they misunderstand credibility psychology, believing that comprehensive information makes lies more believable. This results in explanations that include verification elements, motivational justifications, and narrative complexity that exceeds what genuine experiences would naturally generate. The trap works by revealing cognitive load differences between honest recall and strategic construction. Truth-telling requires minimal mental energy, while lie construction demands significant cognitive resources that often result in overcompensation through excessive detail and unnecessary complexity. Watch for responses that seem designed to convince rather than inform. If explanations include elements that feel performative, if details seem calculated rather than recalled, or if narratives appear constructed rather than remembered, deceptive communication is likely occurring. Pay attention to the emotional investment she shows in explanation success. If she seems more focused on your reaction than on accuracy, if explanation effectiveness appears important beyond normal communication, or if responses seem rehearsed rather than spontaneous, strategic communication is serving impression management rather than information sharing. The consistency of explanation complexity across different topics reveals whether elaborate responses serve deception or represent communication style. If certain subjects generate disproportionate explanation complexity, if specific topics trigger defensive elaboration, or if explanation patterns correlate with suspicious activities, strategic communication is likely protecting specific information rather than expressing general communication preferences. Trick 4. Eye contact challenge. Visual connection during conversations about relationship concerns provides immediate psychological feedback about comfort levels, authenticity, and internal conflict that accompanies deceptive responses to direct or indirect inquiries about fidelity and relationship commitment. Bringing up subtle suspicions in conversation creates psychological pressure that affects natural eye contact patterns. Female psychology reveals that deception creates internal conflict that makes sustained visual connection uncomfortable because eye contact feels vulnerable when maintaining false narratives. Difficulty maintaining eye contact during relationship discussions often indicates internal anxiety about the topic rather than general discomfort with intimate conversation. When eye contact avoidance correlates with specific subjects, psychological discomfort is likely related to those particular topics rather than communication style. Strong psychological giveaways include looking away immediately when certain topics arise, visual connection that seems forced rather than natural, or eye contact patterns that differ significantly from her normal communication style during intimate or serious conversations. The challenge works because authentic responses don't create psychological discomfort that interferes with natural visual connection, while deceptive responses generate internal conflict that makes sustained eye contact feel risky or uncomfortable. During sensitive relationship discussions, watch for changes in eye contact patterns during different conversation topics. If visual connection remains normal during routine discussions but becomes problematic during relationship-focused conversations, specific psychological discomfort is likely affecting natural communication patterns. Pay attention to the timing of eye contact avoidance. If visual connection problems occur specifically when certain names are mentioned, when particular activities are discussed, or when relationship commitment topics arise, targeted psychological discomfort is likely creating communication barriers. The recovery patterns after difficult eye contact moments reveal their significance. If visual connection returns to normal immediately after problematic topics pass, if eye contact avoidance seems topic-specific rather than general, or if communication barriers disappear when conversation shifts to comfortable subjects, specific psychological responses are creating targeted discomfort rather than general communication issues. Trick 5. Surprise visit. Test unannounced verification visits to claimed locations provide concrete evidence about whether her stated activities align with actual whereabouts, eliminating uncertainty through direct observation rather than relying on verbal assurances that might not reflect reality. Showing up unannounced at claimed locations creates immediate verification opportunities that reveal whether her explanations about whereabouts correspond with factual reality. If genuine activities are occurring as claimed, surprise visits should find her engaged in stated activities without creating problems or defensive responses. The test works because legitimate activities welcome verification, while deceptive claims require advance notice to coordinate cover stories or ensure proper positioning. When someone is actually where they claim to be, unexpected visits create pleasant surprises rather than panic or defensive reactions. If she's truly at claimed locations engaging in stated activities, surprise visits should generate positive responses that welcome unexpected connection opportunities. Genuine work sessions, friend visits, or routine errands shouldn't create anxiety about unplanned verification through spontaneous visits. Proof emerges through direct observation of either authentic activity engagement or absence from claimed locations. Physical presence at stated locations during claimed activities provides confirmation, while absence or different activities than claimed provide evidence of deceptive location claims. The reaction to surprise visits often provides more information than the location verification itself. If unexpected visits create panic rather than pleasure, if surprise appearances trigger defensive responses, or if unplanned verification generates anxiety rather than welcome connection, deceptive activities are likely occurring. Watch for patterns in her availability for surprise visits. If certain claimed activities consistently can't accommodate unplanned verification, if specific locations seem off-limits for spontaneous visits, or if particular time periods create problems for surprise appearances, strategic activities might be occurring during those protected periods. Pay attention to location consistency across multiple verification opportunities. If surprise visits consistently find her at claimed locations, if activities align with stated purposes, and if reactions remain positive across multiple unplanned verification attempts, authentic activity engagement is likely occurring rather than strategic deception. Trick 6. Consistency. Check memory verification through repeated questioning reveals whether responses reflect authentic recall, or strategic construction by testing whether identical inquiries generate identical responses across different time periods and conversation contexts. Asking the same question days apart creates opportunities to observe whether story elements remain consistent in ways that authentic memories would naturally maintain or change in ways that constructed narratives might struggle to reproduce. Accurately across multiple tellings, loyal partners typically maintain story consistency because authentic experiences create stable memories that don't require active management to remain accurate across multiple retellings. Truth doesn't need coordination to remain consistent because genuine experiences provide natural narrative stability. Liars often struggle with perfect story alignment because constructed narratives require active memory management that becomes difficult to maintain across extended time periods. Complex lies demand cognitive resources that make perfect reproduction challenging without careful coordination and rehearsal. The trap works by revealing cognitive load differences between authentic recall and strategic narrative management. Truth-telling doesn't require memory coordination, while lie maintenance demands active story management that often creates inconsistencies when tested across time and contexts. Watch for story elements that change between tellings in ways that exceed natural memory evolution. If core facts shift rather than details, if timelines become confused, or if narrative elements contradict previous versions, constructed storytelling is likely occurring rather than authentic memory recall. Pay attention to her comfort level with repeated questioning about the same events. If story repetition creates anxiety, if identical questions generate defensive responses, or if memory testing seems threatening rather than routine, active story management is likely required to maintain narrative consistency. The complexity correlation often reveals deception because elaborate lies are harder to remember accurately than simple truths. If stories that seemed complex during initial telling become simpler or more confused during repetition, if details disappear or change significantly, or if narrative complexity decreases under memory pressure, strategic construction is likely, serving deception rather than authentic experience sharing.